So what was that you were saying earlier about the testicle thing? Because I missed it and I didn't understand.
Oh, I was just I was just talking about being so elevated that my left nut would be jealous of my right nut. No, my right nut would be jealous of my left nut. Yeah, that was the thing. Shit, I can say it. So high that my right nut was jealous of my left, just because it will never be as high up as my left nut is, because that's just the way it be.
Right, and then we started talking about, like, if you're right-handed, it's, like, depends on which one hangs lower.
Yeah.
If you're right-handed or left-handed.
One of these days, there will be a guy that comes along that somehow you find this information out about, or maybe we're speaking to him right now and we just don't know it in the ether. What if we meet a true clacker? The two equals just all the time.
I could never imagine that. That would be against nature.
All the time, just
that would
walking.
be a curse upon man. But
I feel like the people that you're the most intimidated of might have that situation going because they're unnatural.
I would also be in a bad mood most of the time if that was my situation. But this question actually reminds me of this old Spike TV show.
Oh no, Mansers.
And it's one of those that, like, it was garbage, it was trash. But you know what? As
they didn't try to lie to you and make it seem like it's supposed to be high class,
right?
Like it was garbage television. And
I also wondered some of these things, and I'm like, well, okay, this would be a question I'd want to know. Like, I think they should survey. They would have the reach to survey a bunch of dudes and say, hey, which hand are you, and which of your junk leans down farther?
Right eye, right nut, right foot, left eye.
Yeah, like let's see which. Let's get a survey going.
Because, I mean, weirdly enough, I'm left eye dominant. Everything else is right. I don't understand. Right-handed, right-nutted, right-footed.
I don't have a dominant eye.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you also don't wear glasses because the eyes are a little harder to figure out. I didn't know I was until my, ophthalmologist or whatever was looking at my eyeballs.
I have surprisingly good vision and surprisingly good hearing still. Now, my selectiveness of my hearing is a different story because the ADHD does allow things to be said and not processed. Because
it's some actions to be performed in front of you and not processed.
It's seriously.
Poor Otto.
I mean, it is. I'm sorry. I was in the middle of a story, and then he was reaching, and I didn't see him reaching. If I'd have seen it,
like 2 to 3 times, he goes, well, nope.
Yeah, I
guess I'm sitting there waving the Bluntsky, and he's like trying to just reach over and grab it just because that's what I was about to pass. Say, we just discussed it. Tiny, you want some? No, thanks. And I was like, well, I can have some. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go have some. And then I sit down and I take a few puffs, and it is what it is.
No, not only sit down, you were walking around for a solid 10 minutes with the story.
I was decompressing because sometimes working retail.
You became a Southern mom.
Yep, I was just giving you my bitchins for the day.
You became a Southern stoner mom.
It's just because, seriously, it reminds me of the way, my mom would decompress from stuff, but she dealt with people for years as a utility district, so they're the ones who decide whether or not
your mom was a utility district?
At a utility district. She worked at one. She was, but anyway,
I was like, she wasn't that big.
But the main job she did was a water plant operator later on in life, but she started off at the district just being one of the ladies that works the window to take the money and everything, but having to deal with people all the time. And you being the deciding factor, your business, that the reason it's there, whether or not they get water. So they would have to deal with people sometimes that would come up in there that hadn't had water on their property in 2 months. And they come in there and they'd be like, well, we finally got the money yet. We're going to go and get it taken care of. And she said they would smell so bad that they would be coming through the vents of the windows that they were talking through. And she called it sour tail.
That's bad. That's bad. If you're going through the little grates to the outside, shoot,
and that's some funk right there.
They would have to. My mom would then have to go out there and spray in the area that they had walked through, just because it'd be lingering in everything. So that's the way that I kind of felt today. I didn't have any stinky ones because the stinky ones do happen. And you get miscellaneous odors of people, and anybody that works in retail or works in any kind of just having to be dealing with the public all the time.
Dude, I had a lady come in Saturday. I feel like she bathed in straight patchouli oil. It was so loud and aggressive, I could taste it as soon as she entered the doorway.
Back when I worked at my last place of employment, you could follow customers through the store just by the funk they left, and it would be like they would be 3 aisles over, and you could see where they walked at just because there was a
she didn't
stink.
have like the body odor smell, but I was like, I get it. You smoke pot.
Yep, that's what most potheads do, is try to mask the odor of what they've got with something strong.
Hard into the skid.
Man, I tell you, I used to love me some damn patchouli, though.
I mean, patchouli smell good,
God,
but I don't want to taste it.
What you need is a pinpoint of patchouli and a lot more of other things to make it appealing. Otherwise, you just smell like a face full of dirt. And that was appealing to me for a little bit of time. It was, but anyway, the story was I'm
gonna keep that one to myself.
What?
Nothing.
Okay,
Tell me later.
Just the smell. Okay, so
no.
Did you ever go in Beautiful Balloons when it was a thing?
Oh, fuck me.
The super intense incense smell when you walk in the door.
Absolutely.
Because they had the giant rack before the special curtain.
They were
and then once you go in the special curtain, you can still taste what's in the giant rack.
Yep, the giant rack would always have two or three burning at the same time, but you could always tell there was a Nag Champa and heavy patchouli.
Yes,
because Nag Champa itself is already strong enough. But anyway, my story was actually just because I felt like that when I got home, because I was like, let me get myself out of this I'm a Southern mom kind of mentality, because I really just felt like I was going to be sitting there just telling you about all the sons of bitches that I talked to today, only to amount to way less money than what I thought we was going to make. Customer interactions don't mean shit no more, because nobody got no money to spend on stuff. I feel better now.
I don't need to know if that reminded you of a story.
Yeah, it actually.
I don't need to know about
did,
it.
and I'll tell you about it later. Hi, everyone. I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
I'm Otto. I became one with the mushroom Cogdell.
And I'm Tiny.
We are Nerd It Through the Grapevine, the podcast where three best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. Today, we're going to be coming at you with a little bit of sidebars here and there, but we're going to be talking about some occult stuff. We're going to be talking about some witchcraft.
Some black magic.
We're going to be talking about a bunch of things revolving around that. And if you don't like that kind of stuff and you're not into the idea of that kind of stuff, we're not saying that we practice it. We're just talking about it. And we're going to talk about some references that we've seen it, within like Marvel and DC and other things like that. And just trying to tie it a little bit into what we're always kind of soaked up in, which is the fantasy realm of stuff. But at the same time, some of the shit that happens in real life is kind of like just as wacky.
Well, like a lot of the fantasy is based on real life things.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think that damn it. The other day I was sitting and I was talking to Trudy, and we were talking and there was something on television, and there was an orangutan, and the way that it was.
Oh God, I was hoping it wasn't this.
And,
is this going to be a Patreon?
No, it's going to be an everybody.
Okay.
But you said orangutan penis just a second ago during the Patreon cut, so everybody can know. It reminded me of, hey, what if for some reason Tiny got way too messed up and took his clothes off at the zoo and got into the orangutan exhibit?
Is that what that text was about?
Possibly.
I was like, what is this?
I said, now what if he just went over and sat next to the orangutan, and the orangutan looks over at him and just looks at him. He's like, "What are you doing here, my less than hairy brethren?"
I mean,
because you got the red beard, kind of like an orangutan
I understand
would.
what you're saying.
But then he looks over.
The rest of my hair is brown. Okay, it's just the beard that's red.
But then the orangutan looks over at you and he goes, "Huh?" And you go, "Whoa!" And it, so that was the orangutan story. I'm sorry, I had to get it out of my body.
God,
You feel better.
I do feel quite a
I'm
bit
literally in a tank and you're not.
You're not my dad. You're not my dad, and I'm literally in a tank. You can't tell me what to do. Anyway, I was just I was looking up a bunch of different ones actually, and I've watched way too much on one in specifics. If it's okay, if we go ahead and just kick it off with some real life stuff. Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Oh yeah.
Aleister Crowley, I've watched so many different things on him, and he had a kind of a crazy upbringing. I mean, his father passed away when he was very young. His mother called him the Beast, and
Among other things.
yeah, but that's the one that stuck with him kind of the most, and why he almost felt like he had to carry that legacy with him, like as far as a name goes, because he would get into. It was also the time, too, before people really understood kinks that much.
Yeah.
Because we go through, like, kink awareness and kink phases, but the kinks that we used to have would, like, phase out, and then people would be like, "Oh, you can't do that kind of stuff, otherwise you're going to hell." And then it gets, like, 100 years go past, and then all of a sudden it's commonplace. And then all of a sudden here's another one, "You can't do that stuff, or you're going to..." But it was homosexuality. And other things involving amongst other things, not including or limited to said there of human sacrifice. And I don't abide by that or support that. I just he claimed it was a kink.
Well, I mean, Aleister Crowley, he founded Thelema. That was the religion that spawned eventually the Church of Satan, and it was all based around sex magic. So what can we do while we're having sex that will achieve some higher state of being or some higher purpose?
Ecstasy.
Yeah,
Makes
there
me a better
were
dancer.
definitely drugs, and then it kind of trickled down into other things. But yeah, it started off just him going, "I like dudes too."
Yeah.
Like literally, that's how it started.
Yeah.
His gateway to craziness was, "I like dudes as well as chicks."
That's all that it took back in the 1800s. He was born in 1875. So by the time that he was reaching the age of people becoming attracted to other people, you notice around the time of puberty, you're like, "Oh, why am I getting all blushy and all this other stuff revolving around this and this?" And then his was, "I feel this. I'm not supposed to feel this. Why am I feeling this? Oh, it's because you're the devil, son."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then,
That's healthy for the kid's psyche.
oh yeah, and then you throw in opium and the other drugs he was doing because he was an avid,
He loved him
stupid,
some
drugs.
drugs.
Drug user.
It was like everything, but for like amphetamines, opioids. He would get into before even psychedelics were done for the psychedelic purposes. Like he was knowing of people that would eat the fungus of certain species of cattle like from their manure and this and that, and he would know that certain places would harvest like the honey from certain bees that would be pollinating the opium flowers. And
Well,
stuff.
he was a Sherpa for people like helping them climb mountains and stuff in those other regions over in Europe for a while.
What flavor?
Before he come back to the U.S. What
flavor?
flavor? What
Sherbet.
Sherpa?
Oh, sorry.
Someone that guides others up through mountain stuff.
Yeah, like on the donkeys.
I mean, I assume
Or
they
he-
were donkeys at some point.
Were there donkeys or
Or
alpacas?
mules?
He helped them do mountain climbing shit, whatever that entails. Okay, thanks. Bye.
He was an avid mountaineer.
Yes, he was actually, that was his profession at one point before he started this crazy spiral. That's how we got really into some of the psychedelics, was being over around Nepal and those places like that where a lot of those are being used.
Yep, because you got that mad honey that's kind of gone on a little bit of notice now. Like, it's not new; it's been around 4 centuries, and they'll tell you one of 2 things will happen. You'll have a crazy experience and it's mind-opening, or you might get sick and die.
Yep.
That doesn't sound like fun, though.
I watched a TikTok the other day about it. Literally, there was this one guy who had taken this specific amount, and then the person he was talking to, he was like, "Okay, how much did you take?" And then he's like, "This much," and he said, "Oh, that is not what I told you."
That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's like when you go to your mechanic and they're like, "Oh, well, it's just this thing." It's like, "Oh no!" Like when the mechanic sighs, you know you have a fucking problem.
Yeah, and so then he goes to the. He's like, well, he's like, that's how much we were supposed to take. That's how much my friend took too. He's like, "Oh, your friend is ill." And his friend is in the bedroom, just arms crossed over his chest, body in full like C's, and it's like,
No,
are you okay? He's like, I think I don't feel right. And so, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that would be going on. But just imagine the feeling of being like, but the thing about it is too, like, I don't think a lot of the times his people that were in his groups would know the kind of substances that they were being fed in order to experience and see the things they were seeing.
A lot of times they wouldn't, because like it started off as like, let's have this spiritual awakening together. Let's perform this magic together. I know these spells and he would mix all the things and hand out the things, but not explain what the things were, what they would do. Couple that with, big, like, no holes barred orgy where you're doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Think Diddy before Diddy, but it's consensual. That's basically what was happening. Hopefully, that's basically what was happening. And then, let's bring out some knives and start cutting each other some. Like it was this really downward spiral into debauchery that a lot of people didn't fully know what they were signing up for.
That reminds me of the latest episode of Sons of Anarchy I just watched, where they had to go and they drown the guy in the bathtub full of piss and vinegar.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
And it actually became less about this religion that he founded and more about ways to accrue money
and longevity as well.
And longevity,
he was trying to find a way to.
But he had like the adrenochrome, essentially,
because he was trying to find the because he was very into alchemy. He was trying to find the Philosopher's Stone. He was trying to figure out how to make the Philosopher's Stone, and supposedly he figured out how to make a Philosopher's Stone, and it did require an equivalent sacrifice for what you were trying to get out of it, and it was human lives. So I don't know how far down the rabbit hole into the darkness that really goes, but it's just some of the things. He also spoke with interdimensional beings that he had, and this is all... This is what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't there. I've seen some shit, so I'm real open to this being a possibility. But he's like, he opens up this portal via magic, sex magic portal, and then this.
Of course, it was sex magic.
Sex magic portal. That's a great episode title.
Also my new favorite metal band.
Oh, Sex Magic. No, that is a funk band if I've ever heard one.
I can see it going both ways.
Sex Magic Portal.
Metal funk.
Yeah, I was about to say a love child between funk and metal. Wouldn't that just be stoner metal?
You'd be that with like a double drum beat.
Yeah, you got like a ska beat behind it.
Yeah,
you got to have the mix of like your ska ups and downs. So this is coming from him saying it, but there was this otherworldly being that came through the portal, and before any descriptions were ever made, this is probably circa 20-30, well shit, nah, it might have been even like 40 years prior, 50 years prior to the Roswell incident. Like this was like turn of the century when this happened in New York, in a specialized room that he had made for his mysticisms.
Yeah,
and such.
wasn't it like in the basement of the Black House?
I think something like that. but it was I forget the freaking entity's name, because anyway, 50 years before Roswell, you got this incident happening, and every description that he made about this being that came through was a gray. So, and I don't really know.
Well, I mean, he had so many different things that he said and touted that it's hard to say. It's hard to say what's actually true and what he actually believed.
Yeah, because I mean, God, man, I know that you've not tried any of the cosmic fungus. I know that Otto and myself have
Not
tried.
gonna.
I understand.
That's fair.
I'm not pressuring you too. I'm just
You're not.
telling you, when you're in that state of mind, you need to be in a safe place, because you are very easily. Your perception of stuff is altered easily.
Sometimes in this thing right here, my head that I'm pointing at, sometimes I feel like I need an adult.
Yeah,
I don't want that's a not for me.
That's it was just it's a something to where you can be pretty much really easily deceived.
Yeah, because your mind is basically, it removes the filter of like, this has to all make sense, and it's just like you're just going with it. You're just always down for
I could just
whatever's
see
going
massive
on.
amounts of anxiety coming from that.
Oh, and that's fair, because like that's one thing I was worried about whenever I decided to eat the mushroom, is because I wanted to make sure you're in a good place. Because if you're not in a good place, and that's what a lot of these people would do, is they'd find transient young adults that wanted to find a purpose and a want to go, like they wanted to be something bigger than themselves and wanted to do something. He's like, hey, I can get you to do that. Here, take these drugs, and we'll feed you all this stuff and do all this stuff, and then just slowly trickle them into doing all that crazy stuff.
You could be very easily deceived very quickly. The last time that I had ingested the cosmic fungus, I watched an Adam Sandler stand-up special on Netflix, and I had convinced myself fully 15 minutes into it, not the cosmic fungus trip, but the special, that Adam Sandler himself was plotting against me. And I because it was one of these things that where it was such a high budget production for a stand up, it looked like a movie, and then shit was happening throughout the whole stand up that was like, something's failing on this side, something's failing on this side, why is this happening? This crowd member does something stupid and loud, and it's just all this stuff that's stacking up to not feeling real. And then it gets towards the end of it, and then there's like this Elvis impersonator that comes out, and I was like, God, that is the weirdest, because I thought it was an Asian Elvis just out of nowhere. Because
Asian Elvis.
I literally thought it was a random Asian Elvis, and it's singing so much, like just getting into it, and I'm like, God. Wait, that's not an Asian Elvis. That looks like Rob Schneider for a second, and my brain second-guessed itself. I'm like, there is no way that that's Rob Schneider dressed up as Elvis, singing just like Elvis on an Adam Sandler stand-up where he's plotting against you. Song ends, this little Asian Elvis is standing there, and he taps him on the back. Adam Sandler does, pats him on the back, says, hey, thanks for being here, Rob. And then it instantly shifts back to Rob Schneider's face. Because that's who it was the whole time. I just couldn't focus in on it because I had thought to myself, that looks like a little Asian Elvis. And that's all I saw for most of it because that's what I thought. So that if somebody's imagination is strong enough like mine is, and you're on a different plane of existence for a second that way, you're highly susceptible to deception. Because if that's all the convincing that it took me to not recognize Rob Schneider, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider is little Asian Elvis. So, but for him to put... I feel like he would give them a mulled wine version of it. I think that would be able to be...
I mean, a lot of the times it was given like a potion.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it was something,
but the
put like
potion
in a mortar and pestle,
was drugs.
dumped in the wine. Yeah, and it's just
Well, he'd have like...
concoction of drugs.
Yeah, he'd have like snake oil vials, and like he was his own version of like the old West Wagoneer kind of whatever it's called, apothecary, snake oil salesman. There we go. Like, well, it turns out this is just methamphetamine, MDMA, a fungus extract, and just straight cocaine that's diluted in ethyl alcohol.
And I'm going to go ahead and correct myself, Seven. I know it was LeVay with the Black House, not Crowley.
Thank you. I like it that you're able to remember that far back and then let somebody know, because if anybody's going to let you know, it's your bro. Because he likes this stuff.
Yeah, he does.
I get into some of the spooky stuff like that too.
So, what I was digging into the past couple of days, have you ever noticed in Hellboy and a lot of the Marvel and the MCU that the weird occult evil guys are Nazis?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know that that's actually based in historical context?
Absolutely.
Yes, that was one of my favorite things. Learning about the end of World War II.
They literally did a quest for Mjolnir.
Yeah, because Hitler was a nut, and he had this idea that we gotta figure out trying to find the Spear of Destiny. A lot of the Indiana Jones stuff was actually based off of the Nazis looked for that stuff.
Yeah, they were actually trying to seize these different mystical artifacts from all the different religions and everything, because by God, if that power was out there, we need it because we have the right way to go.
Yeah,
we're gonna make things right, and it's gonna be awesome, but we need this spiritual backing if it exists. And one of the heads of that was Himmler himself, which
he was number 2, wasn't he?
Yeah, basically he was basically number 2. I can't remember the sect that he was part of because German names are weird and I can't remember those.
Well, he wasn't. He was the director of the SS, wasn't he? I thought, or was he was he the experiment guy?
He was one of them that,
or was
he
both?
was over it, but he was over several things.
He was over so many things.
Yeah, he was one of the heavy lifters of the Third Reich.
He was also one of the main ones that was their video director. He was the one over their propaganda.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was one of the biggest key people in that organization. And one of his seconds, I can't remember his name, was the one that was experimenting with the black magic. Oddly enough, was a gay Nazi man. Literally was pretty much everything that they hated, but he had this, occult knowledge and education thing. So they're like, okay, you can stay, but you need to teach us what you know, kind of deal. Very odd, weird way to go.
Hitler himself was an insecure person.
Oh, he was. He's very insecure.
So,
he also didn't fit any of the criteria of the perfect Aryan race anyway.
No, but the idea that he would then leap at the opportunity to become more powerful.
Oh yeah, he was leaping at everything because he was one of the people that actually invented meth and what we know as meth today, because
he was making super soldiers.
Yeah, he was making super soldiers. He would give vials of meth to his SS so they could stay up for days. They could march longer. Just if you needed them, there they were, but they were so methed out.
Yeah, because it would be a daily ration. It wouldn't just be a, hey, you're about to get into battle, take this. It was no, every morning
you have to take this,
meds.
yes. And he himself did 3 times the amount of what the daily amount was for the soldiers to take.
Yeah, and I couldn't imagine being a soldier in World War II and you being one of the first soldiers to go up against the first run of methed out German soldiers.
Yeah, just awful.
Number one, I can't attest to their accuracy of fire, but I can attest to the superhuman feats they can accomplish. While that, imagine you were in a fist to fist altercation with one of them, it got down into the nitty gritty. You got past the gunfire point. Now it's time to throw down. You're not winning that fight.
No, because it completely dulls your pain receptors and a lot of other things, and you're just basically your give a shit's gone.
And you're running in a state of a thermoreaction inside of your body that can actually get up to 105 degrees at some points and start to scramble your brain eggs. But it is, I forget what it's actually referred to as, some kind of excited delirium, I think it was what it's referred to
methagenation.
as. What? Methagenation?
Yeah.
Excited delirium from methanation. Basically it's that if, you're going to run until you burn out. So at certain doses that can happen. and you're going to run till you burn out. And by burn out, I mean all of your muscles are hyperactive to the point to where their receptors and their ends on them break.
Yeah, it just shreds them.
And your bones break in the process. Like it's how much it gets into that. Like you're so tensed up. But if they're in a fight and they're swinging through with that kind of power, geez, oh boy.
I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on all of that.
I mean, I was a cop once, and I'll tell you, I don't like it. I ain't doing it. 4 or 5 of us dogpiling like 150-pound, like soaking wet man. Like, where's this strength coming from? I don't know. Has anybody checked his pockets? I can't get to his pockets. It turns out he's got his little bags of Popeye's crystal salt in there.
Those little friendship rose.
His little friendship rose and his Popeye pipe powder. I can just hear the Popeye theme song, but instead of Popeye popping open a can of spinach, he's just cracking a torch out and just at the end of one of those friendship rose tubes.
You hear the Mario like level up sound.
That is, oh man.
And the occult stuff's like, it's gotten really big into even like mainstream. I know DC has a cult all the time with like Constantine and Etrigan. Like they get into the mystical items and everything into that.
That is true. Oh, I'd forgotten too. I think it was actually a timeline on Hitler's death. They invaded Russia, and of course it's dead of winter, but they were actually still making a push, even though they were all like freezing
because they were methed out.
Because they were methed out. Now, he had what is known in the and I don't know. I don't think it's actually a cult. It's more along the lines of religious artifact. But it's kind of a cult just because of the way that they think that this power emanates from it. And it's the Spear of Destiny. And it's supposedly 2 things in one. And this was broken down. I forget which science show I saw break it down, but it's 2 or 3 things in one. That's all holy religious artifacts shoved into it. It's the 3 nails that crucified Christ. And it is the spear that pierced his side. I believe is what it.
That's 2 things.
Well, and there was another fleecing that they would put around it that was made out of something else, to do with frick. I forget what it was. I think it was something that was like gilded cloth or something that was
like a burial shroud.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even from him though. It was from something where his blood had dripped onto it and and got soaked in his blood, and then they cast it in gold, and then turned it into a leafing. So
I have no idea, man.
So basically, it was like it was the holiest of holy relics as far as what that was concerned. And you know how he got it? The Catholic Church was like, "Yeah, here, have this."
Yeah,
he didn't go like forcefully.
It's like this was just realistically, this was in our gift shop.
The Catholic Church was kind of like,
well, look, the Catholic Church, they have branches of their own occult mysticism anyway.
Oh yeah.
Because I come across some paraphernalia as a child. Believe it or not, I was finding weird shit as a kid.
What kind of weird stuff did you find as a kid?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. My bio dad was Roman Catholic, and so was his side of the family. All the other branches of my family was everything but. So a few years after my dad passed, there was a closet just full of his stuff. So I'm over there digging through it, and I find, Catholic Bible, Catholic, school thing, because he went to a private Catholic school. And then I find this book that was like yay big. So that's what, a foot, like big, like coffee table size book. And there's a gold gilded cross on the front, and it's black, and there's like pinnacles and something else. I can't remember what the other thing was. And I'm like, what are this? So I open it, and I start flipping through it, and I'm seeing Bible verses, some I know, some I don't. and then there's like spells and symbols and all kinds of other stuff on these pages. So
Yeah, Catholicism.
yeah, it was weird. I ended up closing it up, putting it back in the closet.
As
I
we
may have it somewhere. I
as
don't know.
weird as it sounds, and as under like the radar as it is, I think it's one of the only forms of Christianity that's still around that is performing the mysticism and ritualistic natures of the having to say the spells.
Yeah,
and it's received as rites,
pretty much, yeah.
not spells. Tomato,
Yeah, they
tomato.
definitely
If-
rebranded.
Yeah,
If-
you know.
Yeah, if you know anything about like, paganism and pagan witchcraft, all those things, and then you look at especially Roman Catholicism or Greek Orthodox or Russian Orthodox, any of those branches of Catholicism, and you compare them, they're more apples than they're oranges. And realistically, I kind of feel like every religion has its own form of spell. What do you think the prayer is? It's the same thing.
Right. It's just dressed in a different name. And
Yeah,
a different
it's just
meaning.
different name and done in a different manner. But if you boil it down, it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and I just the Catholicism though getting back in.
Well,
him,
yeah, because
that-
you've got the saints that you're praying to,
Yeah.
and you got the rosary beads. There's all these other things that have to come in as components of things.
Yep.
Lighting the candle, burning the incense. It's more ritualistic or ritualized than any other branch.
like change the costume and the setting of the person doing the thing, and it goes from it feels like you're worshiping God to it feels like something bad's about to happen. It's
go from big fancy cathedral to a cave, and it's like Catholic dude to Druid or whatever.
yeah.
Right.
What kind of weird Wiccan shit is this?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same shit.
Weirdness finds a way. So it's Constantine. I watched that just a couple weeks ago, and it was the movie.
That's a Keanu, ain't it?
That is a Keanu, and Keanu is going to be in another Constantine movie where he doesn't have a British accent, even though in all of the other DC sourcing for Constantine he has a British accent. But
I think we're better off without Keanu's British
Yeah.
accent.
we saw
I've
that
never
in another.
heard that.
You've never watched
I've
Bram
ne-
Stoker's Dracula from the early
I
90s?
thought we saw a clip of
I
this one
haven't.
time.
Oh my!
I have not.
goodness.
So I
We're
didn't
better
know
off
that he's
without.
tried it because, like, his normal speaking voice already pisses me off. He's got that like SoCal like surfer dude kind of sound.
He has a voice
And it-
for one-liners.
It's a voice that makes me want to get real punchy, kind of like Crackle Knees' face. It makes me punchy. And then he put him in a movie, and it's like he still has a weird cadence, but it's okay. It's more like full of extraneous dramatic pauses. So you want to throw him in with any other accent, it cannot be good. There's no way.
Yeah, his British accent, I didn't really like it too much in that movie, but it didn't take away from the movie for me. It just made him seem like a very weak character. Even though his character was one of the main characters in the movie, it just made him seem like a weaker character than I think. I don't know if he meant
Like
to
he couldn't
portray.
lift as much.
Oh, basically. I mean, but kind of like weak morally, weak spoken, weak character. Like his character.
Weak bladder.
Watery bowels.
Right.
If you're
Poor
Sarah,
anal retention.
if you're Sarah J. Maas, it's watery bowels or what is it?
That's like a sinking canoe, ain't it?
Yeah, watery bowels.
Ain't it basically the same thing?
No, I think it's IBS. Oh. But Constantine, I really liked the movie Constantine, and the Spear of Destiny was the main plot point of Constantine #1 with Keanu. Basically the way that the movie starts is there's this construction site, and this person who's at a construction site notices like there's this weird hole right here underneath this spot we're digging. So he's like breaks through this little bit of wood that's underneath there, and he found something wrapped up inside of a shroud. He unshrouds it and he holds it in his hand, and all of a sudden he's overcome by an urge to go somewhere. So that's basically what it is. Like something takes control of his body. He starts robot walking, not like right, but like he's on
Going to a place.
Yeah, he's moving to the country, going to eat a lot of peaches. That's all that's going through his head. He's walking straight towards the country and where those peaches are, and then the car hits him. Literally, it takes 30 seconds for all this to happen, it feels like. But within that 30-second time frame, you also notice, like, wait a freaking second. This car hit him, and it hit him with the force of a car then hitting a concrete barrier. He didn't move. The car buckled around him. And then he was like dead, standing in the center of the car, and he raises his head up. His eyes are black, and then they fade right back to human. So basically, the way that Constantine the movie goes, that is the spirit of the son of the devil was trapped within the spear. What I think was like the spear of destiny was like a gateway, as the ultimate mockery of Jesus.
Terrible computers.
Oh God, how many have you had? I've had two. I've had two. That's all it takes.
Yeah, my current little one is a gateway. That one's not bad.
But what he gets possessed by the son of the devil, and the son of the devil and Gabriel the angel have to then get into they're in a plot together to be able to bring him over into the world so he can inherit the world and screw over both God and Satan. So it was the whole movie though was full of different spells and sigils, and it's just you would never think by watching that movie.
Wasn't he a canonized exorcist from the Catholic Church in that movie?
I don't know if he was ordained or not, but I think they would opt to hire him under things they couldn't handle themselves.
Yes, he was an exorcist.
Yes,
because to be an exorcist, you have to be trained by the Vatican. And I think there's only 12 active exorcists in the world right now.
But I don't think it was the same thing as them ordaining him. I think they just knew that his prowess spoke for itself. In the comic books and in the television show, which is closer related to the comic books, he doesn't act the same way as Keanu's Constantine does. Keanu's Constantine's a little bit more badass, but also shows that same kind of struggle, like the moral struggles and everything else that he goes through. But the one in the comic books is a little bit more cheeky. He's got that like
he has like the Han Solo Landau Calrissian. I'm the baddest motherfucker in the room, and like I have the swagger of like I can do whatever I want.
I like to refer to myself as a peddler of the dark arts. I don't want somebody to call me a master of the dark arts. I really hate to put on airs.
Or someone's like, I'm going to take your soul. He's like, okay, get in line. Like there's 3 other people that want it too, and just backs out of the fucking room.
So just basically a reskinned Harry Dresden.
Who?
Huh?
That sounds like an awful way to say somebody's uncircumcised.
I mean, I don't know if Harry Dresden is circumcised or not.
What was the
They've
full?
never mentioned it in the book.
What was the full statement? A reskinned Harry Dresden.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh.
I mean, I understand where you're.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I feel like
That's
I feel like I just shamed an entire populace of people.
Yeah, some people be very upset because I know that there's a couple fans of the show that really like Harry Dresden.
I don't even know what Harry Dresden
I don't know
is.
who this
Okay,
is.
so
I'm ignorant.
it's a series of books written by Jim Butcher. It's a guy, he lives in, I want to say it's New York. It could be Chicago. I don't remember. Don't come for me. He's a wizard, and he operates in this whole underground thing, but he's publicly a wizard. And so if there's something weird happening, you call him up. He's like private investigator style, and he comes and takes care of whatever's spiritually wrong right there.
That sounds like Constantine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Harry Dresden, just different package.
It's just sometimes it's a little bit more complex than just your standard possession, like with this one.
Well, I mean, same with Harry, but that's nutshell explanation.
Batman will come to Constantine and be like, hey, I don't know about this magic stuff you do. Help me figure it out, kind of thing.
Same idea.
Same thing with Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Superman has to turn to Constantine a lot of times for stuff because that's one of Superman's vulnerabilities because he's got nothing against that. I mean, he's got Shazam he could go to for that kind of stuff, but Shazam's just a kid who's inherited these powers. He doesn't know as much as Constantine, who has literally delved in the entirety of it and is who knows how old really, because how many lifetimes has he lived on different planes?
Right, and that's
because he got sucked through a
Like
portal or some shit.
Boeing.
I feel like DC handles like magic and occult a lot better than Marvel. Because Marvel, it feels like a lot of times they use it as like power spells and like just they use it for fighting, whereas I feel like DC a lot of times uses it more for like getting something done or locating something.
A lot of the magic-y stuff that I see in Marvel looks more like, to me,
sorcery,
more advanced technology, kind of in a way, like the Wakanda thing where they go, now they've got the shield thing. or like an Iron Fist when they do the same thing, and it's like a shield. It's always the same looking thing with Marvel.
Yeah, and and you've got what's Doctor Strange and Wong. Whenever they get their, they're ready to do some spelling, and they got gauntlets and stuff, basically wrapping around their hands and projecting like this energy barrier.
They look like mandalas as a shield,
right? Whereas like with DC, you have every magic user has a different flavor of magic. I mean,
Exactly.
Shazam is a magic user, and then you got Zatanna, and then you have Constantine, or there's another one I can't think of their name.
Batman.
Nah, he uses billionaire magic.
Right, he uses I have money and
Money. To those who don't have money, seeing what rich people can actually do is kind of magic.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes dark magic.
Did you actually hear?
Well,
So
you're wrong.
there's a new run of DC superheroes. I think it's Ultimate ones or Absolute.
No, I haven't seen.
So it is new takes on all the heroes. They actually redid Batman. Instead of being a billionaire, he is a working class civil engineer that is just instead of his superpower is tech, his superpower is I'm built like a brick shit house. And like it's really cool if you look at it. I believe it's either Absolute or Ultimate. It's the same. Marvel's doing a similar thing, and I think it's
That sounds neat, and I'm going to have to look into it.
And like Superman, instead of being raised on Earth, he was raised on Krypton and then came to Earth.
Huh.
Yeah, like it's really cool.
So it's like Elseworlds adaptations of the what ifs of their life.
Yeah.
They have several of those all the times for stuff. I've seen them with Superman a few different times. I've seen them with Batman a few different times. Like, well, what if it took place then? Well, what if it took place
if
then?
they were like if Superman landed in communist Russia.
What if there's one called
Wasn't that Red Sun?
Yes, it's a pretty good. The movie's pretty good. I haven't read the book, but the movie's pretty good.
There is no movie on it, and I wish there was.
I thought there was an animated one.
No. I'm talking about mine right now.
Okay.
Because the Red Sun they did. I would like to see mine that I like the most. It's called Speeding Bullets, and that is when what if Superman, what if Kal-El didn't land in Smallville, Kansas? What if he landed in Gotham City?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Big Bill.
No. No, what if he landed in Gotham City? And in this book, Thomas and Martha Wayne are having trouble conceiving, and they could not conceive a child. And so they ended up, he crashed into the alleyway
So
that
they
night.
adopted an undocumented alien as their child.
Yes, basically he crashed. They found him. They adopted him the same way that Jonathan and Martha Kent adopted Kal-El in Smallville. But he grew up with the same thing that happened to him shortly after, because whenever he was about, I think it was like somewhere between 9 and 12, I can't remember that age range, he was in the alleyway that night when his parents got gunned down. So when his parents got gunned down, the rage that filled inside of him made him, because he went through all of the same shit that Bruce went through. He went through the fucking falling down the well, seeing the bats, being afraid.
It's basically what if Batman and Superman were the same person?
And he first discovers that he might be able to fly during that, but he shakes it off as like I was hit really hard when I fell, but he was more or less, he passed out from fright and he never hit the ground.
Huh.
So he was so scared by all of it, and then when he woke up, he wasn't hurt, and there wasn't anything to say that he had actually fallen. But when he woke up, there was bats, and he was afraid again. And then there was Alfred to help him out of the hole, and then the whole thing, you got to know why we fall. One of those things goes through all that. Well, then the night that his parents get gunned down, he gets such a swell of emotion and rage that he cuts the man in half with his eyes. And that's how he discovers that he has super abilities.
Oh, that's a way. That is one way to do that.
So he gets so enraged by seeing his parents have that happen to him that his laser vision activates from the rage, cuts him in half, and then he has to figure out both how to become Superman, that kind of thing, but also to use fear against people.
Oh,
So he becomes he becomes Superman dressed as Batman with tech but powers, and it's just
Interesting.
It's a good book. It's a good book. The Constantine stuff also, he has team ups a lot of times in what's called the Dark Justice League, which revolves around Zatanna and him and Etrigan and Deadman. Deadman's a funny character. He's a character that exists on an alternate plane of existence that they have to they most of the time, unless he's already there, they got to summon him through a ritual just to let him know, like put a beacon out into the ether, and then he's got to come. He's like, oh, hey, did you guys call? He's like a D&D side character, honestly, unless you get like into his actual comic book stuff, and I haven't. Just the way he's represented in the movies a lot of times, almost like this like D&D side character. The DM rolled up. Oh, hey guys, did you call?
Right, and they have characters like Dr. Fate, which are
so powerful.
It is. It's kind of like.
It's like how
Doctor
Strange to be,
but like cranked up to like he's a demigod. Because I know in Young Justice he's actually a Lord of Order. Like he's a cosmic being that is inhabiting a human host. Like it is wild.
Like Batman.
You remember Crowley's what was his sect called that he had made? His
I said it earlier.
You did. Thelema. Thelema. The way that he would dress for the Thelema would actually be the same kind of symbols that Dr. Fate wears on his attire. The same kind of Egyptian-inspired symbology and everything.
I
to go
can't
along
remember
with
what
it.
that's called. There's a name for that. The cross with
the eye
loop on top. I can't remember what the name of it is.
It's either an Ankh or an Ong.
I can't remember.
I want to say it's Ankh.
It was regardless though. They kind of same kind of vibe, except Dr. Fate's the mainly you think about the helmet, just because that's
that's how he comes to Earth.
Trapping that spirit within it, and whoever then wears the helmet is then taken over and surrendered to their body is surrendered to that spirit. So you are the helmet; it is you. But Dr. Fate in the Black Adam movie with Pierce Brosnan was a very good representation of Dr. Fate. If nobody's seen Black Adam, I
don't know that they've had Dr. Fate in the real world.
Yeah, if best live action representation, and Pierce Brosnan did a fantastic job.
Isn't that like the only live action representation?
Well, there was one in Smallville as well.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that counts.
No, Smallville doesn't really count because it's also like kind of that like early 2000s CW cheese, and and that's like Gorgonzola strength cheese.
Didn't they like? I remember someone commented about they're in and out of the hospital like every other week on that show.
Yeah, I would like to sit down one of these days. You know how you have like the Kevin Smith dream, where you would love to sit down in Kevin Smith. Just sit one of these.
Yeah, Kevin, when you hear this, if you go back a few episodes, probably about 100, 150, you'll find my phone number and email and stuff. Hit me up, bruh. We'll get you on. It'll be great.
Who's yours? You've got one.
What, my like sit down with a celebrity kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what I said.
Chaperone, I think is what you said.
No, I would love to talk to Chaperone, but that's not my like one down to pick my brain. It'd probably be some director because I just love talking movies to people and like knowing more about movies.
You can just come sit with me and Kevin.
Or like Wes Anderson. I love a good Wes Anderson movie.
Of anybody that I've ever watched their movies and I said, I want to talk to this person because of what they made, I don't think Wes Anderson really pops up on that list too much.
It's his style. It's such a unique perspective.
Can you name one?
Roll
so I
Tenenbaums.
know who you're talking about.
Grand Budapest Hotel, Asteroid City.
Roll Tenenbaums.
The Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I guess I've never seen any of
It's
his.
a very artsy kind of...
Napoleon Dynamite?
Unfortunately.
Okay, that same style except artsier, drier.
Like
thanks.
Everything is shot very...
Not for me.
Like straight on. And his color choices, his color palettes are always very vibrant and colorful, and his background's very full of like life and little like things. And it's such a hard balance to find between overcluttered and like filled. What was yours?
Mine?
I
Michael.
think that's what this started with.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum is mine. He played Lex Luthor on Smallville. and he has a podcast that I've watched quite a few different variants and side spins from it. But his podcast is called Inside of You Podcast. And because as soon as you listen, that's where it is.
Right.
It's like, okay, gotcha. And I also listened to I think 2.5 or 3 seasons of his podcast called Talkville, where they did a scene by scene walkthrough with him, Lex Luthor, and Tom Welling, Clark Kent. And they were talking scene through scene on a bunch of different stuff, and they would bring in different people, like Annette O'Toole, who played Martha Kent, and just all these different actors from the show. And
kind of like Office Ladies.
Very similar to that.
Smallville.
But yeah, Michael Rosenbaum would be who I'd like to talk to, just because of that. He's mine for that. Oh God, I forgot why I was even thinking about Michael Rosenbaum in the first place. I don't remember what we had talked about previously before that. That's how short-term brain
We were
works.
talking about how they're in and out of the hospital in Smallville.
Oh yeah,
every,
that's
3 weeks.
That's what I would like to talk to them about. I was like, as many times as you've gone through, and you actually did your own recorded walkthrough of the show. How many concussed times has anyone done a concussion count on Lana?
Do they
or
have
Lois?
CTE?
I was wondering if Lois would have CTE, honestly, because at some points even Clark himself would knock her out just so she would go to sleep. He would knock her out. He would go up to her and he would tap her temple.
Oh, like as a story thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like real life. These people were going to the hospital all the time because of concussions.
No,
and stuff.
no.
I'm like, how dangerous was working on this set?
No, not the actress.
Okay,
Not
okay.
Eric. Not
I understand now.
Not Kristen Couric or Erica Durance.
Right,
Those.
because that's something with Hollywood. In real life, if you're unconscious for more than a couple seconds, you have brain damage. Like that whole I'm going to put you to sleep for a little bit and move you to another location. That's all in the movies. If you're out for that long, you have brain damage now.
You're probably going to get coloring books for Christmas for the rest of your life, and absolutely love that fact.
It will be a new adventure every time, and it's the same coloring book. Then you've got what
Coloring book.
shit. Oh, I hate you.
I had to.
Oh, God.
I hate that I had to.
Well, good, Austin. I'm real glad you got that one. Your other one just happened to go somewhere.
Coloring book.
Throw that shit away, Fuzzy. Let's see. There was so many times and no, that's the ones that would always make me kind of question the show a little bit, because there'd be points, because of course Clark can run at super speed and then he's imperceptible to the human eye because how quick he can move. He's faster than a speeding bullet. He's Superman, but not Superman. Clark Kent. Buh. So he in super speed would run to Lois I've really got to go somewhere else, but she's right here and I can't get past it. Oh, and she might be in danger. I need to hide her. So he'd here's my super speed. Boink. Right on the side of the temple and knock her out and then carry her to where she needed to go.
If you're moving that fast, if you're moving faster than the human eye can pick up, that little motion, that means your finger is moving faster than the rest of you's moving. So the amount of force applied to that person,
It'd be like being shot in the head.
yes,
It'd be
if not more so.
a kinetic weapon.
That is a red mist of a head.
Yep, and that's why that kind of stuff doesn't happen in The Boys, because they show what would really happen.
Yep. I mean, episode 1, you saw what a freaking half pound of C4 shoved up an invisible guy's ass would do.
Or if the Flash ran into somebody while running.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just skadoosh.
I remember, because I heard The Boys was, a little violent and stuff, and I remember watching that, and that hit me in the face. I was like, oh, this is, actually violent.
Yeah, so at the violence, it's hyper violence.
I like Agatha all along. I recommend you watch it. It's a Marvel show. It's a follow-up from the WandaVision stuff. It's a follow-up after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It is...
Do you have to watch both of those before watching it?
I'm sorry, but that's how continuity works.
Then I will not watch it.
I've watched one of those, but...
I don't want to watch things before I can watch other things.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be enjoyable. It's just you have to watch WandaVision. It's a sequel series to WandaVision.
Okay, what about Doctor Strange?
Not necessarily. It hasn't made many references to that.
Okay, because like I already gave my time to Marvel for WandaVision. I don't know if I want to give more of my time.
I tried so hard to do WandaVision. I made it like 3 episodes, and I'm like, I hate everything about this. I got to the That 70s Show episode of it, and I'm like, I am going to burn the world to the ground if I have to watch any more of this stupid show. Because I was also never a fan of That 70s Show.
So WandaVision, it has a cool
Fight, man.
It's a slow burn. But it's worth it at the end. It's a very good show. I mean, then Multiverse of Madness.
I'll tell you,
it is a follow up directly from it.
I'll tell you the same thing that I told a customer the other day when they said, "Are you watching the sports ball match?" I said, "I would rather watch 2 men fuck on camera," and I'm not into that at all.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So, but okay. Long story short, end of WandaVision. Here's Agatha. Agatha's a witch. Wanda's a witch. Okay? Scarlet Witch doesn't know she's a Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch has to have the Darkhold to sign over the contract, basically accepting the Darkhold, which is this giant evil black book of dark magic. And, Agatha has it. She's like an all-powerful witch at this point who's existing within Wanda's reality that she's created from her standard witch powers. That's how strong she is as standard witch. So she gets past standard witch powers. She collects the Darkhold, steals it from Agatha, gets super powered, is able to do all of this crazy stuff, and then she has to go through this thing. She's gone. Okay, Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange has to go approach Wanda about some stuff that's happening with the multiverse. There's this being that's crossed over and done this and that, and what's going on with it. It's having monsters chase out after. And here's Wanda, who is now the Scarlet Witch, and she is basically almost an all-powerful being. And then the movie, towards the end, with the end of the movie, if you like Sam Raimi stuff, like The Evil Dead, you might like Multiverse of Madness just as a solo movie, just because it is a Sam Raimi zombie-style horror movie.
Sam Raimi's I
may check it out. Maybe one day if I decide to have nothing else to watch,
I mean,
I'll
shit,
check it
even
out.
Bruce Campbell's in it again. He goes through a time. Basically, Doctor Strange puts a spell on him to where he has to punch himself in the nuts continuously.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty bad punishment.
Well, Bruce Campbell's character in the movie was a dick.
Well, he said, "You're a pain in the dick, so you shall have always pain in your dick."
That was what the point is, I think. But Agatha all along, it's been a good show for me. It's introducing some characters I believe that are really essential to establishing the magic base within Marvel. Because you've got all the science and all of that stuff going on that you can take. You've got some gods, a hell of a lot of story about the gods. There's a lot of magic within Marvel, and Agatha is one of these main characters that always pops up within the magic realms of stuff, especially when it comes to the witchcraft side of things. Agatha's been alive for centuries because what her main power is, unlike other witches, she can steal the power from witches and then repurpose it. So, unlike other witches that have to draw from their sources and have a finite amount of stuff, she can continue to grow more powerful the more witches' power she's absorbing. So,
Highlander style.
Very Highlander style. It's like in her mind there can only be one. And there's another witch that's introduced into the show that Aubrey Plaza plays. And Aubrey Plaza is a pretty entertaining actor, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys watch much stuff with her in it or had ever seen.
What
Not
else
a
has
clue.
she been in?
You ever seen Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Andy's girlfriend,
Oh, okay.
Who's Andy?
Chris Pratt.
Okay, so the gothic one that sometimes you go, maybe she's kind of hot.
Yeah,
But most of the time you're just like, not really, but maybe.
I don't.
Is Kat Dennings in this one?
No, she's
Darn.
not in this one. Is that what your take on Kat Dennings is? It's okay if it is. No pressure.
I can say this for one. My wife doesn't listen to. I've heard her talk about her 2D boyfriends all the time, but Kat Dennings is a good-looking woman, and I thought she was funny. I don't understand why people fucking hated on her every time she was in something.
I don't know.
Who's Kat Dennings?
She was in Two Broke Girls,
No
the
clue.
dark-haired girl, large breasts.
No clue.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Show me a picture later.
yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, if you're into some Marvel stuff and you're into some spooky season stuff and you like the idea of watching something witchy, get into Agatha All Along. They even have a catchy tune in there called it's Down the Witch's Road, or the Ballad of the Witch's Road, I think is what it's referred to. You can even look it up on Apple Music now. It's actually a catchy tune. I think that you might enjoy the show. You should watch it if you want some magic.
Ooh. Also, if you're into like the occulty, like witchy, kind of dark, gothic-y stuff, check out Old Gods of Appalachia. It's that whole occult mysticism, Southern granny magic. A lot of it follows the Walker sisters, which is like, this very powerful witch family. It's super entertaining.
And I'll also recommend something. Season 3 of American Horror Story, Coven, was another witch
Coven
magic
was
one. It
fucking great.
It was really
when
good.
she reaches her hand down in the deep fryer, and then all of a sudden the guy at the countertop starts to just sizzle.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was that
hurt me.
show.
That caused me some discord. There's a link in the description. You can get down there and join us in the Backyard Bonanza. I mean, it's not a cult, but it's kind of a cult. I don't know really who the center icon of it would be, but we're there to have a happy, slappy, fun time. Get on there and share some memes. Talk to us. And we're there live, uncut, uncensored, and basically just a reskinned...
Harold
De-skinned,
Dennings.
skinned.
uncircumcised.
Irrevocably so.
Irrevocably so, yeah. We're also on YouTube. Check us out there. Like, share, subscribe. Do all the things. You know the things to do, so do them.
And we're doing some TikTok shorts and stuff now.
And some
yeah,
Facebook,
follow us.
Instagram reels.
Fun fact
Follow
about
us on everything.
we're trying our best,
Do
everybody.
it.
A fun fact about TikTok: there is a TikTok for Nerd Grapevine. I don't know if Dane remembers password. I can't get it with the same login for the other socials, so it's something completely different.
try
fun.
a recovery for the password.
I did. It's not on the email.
Oh,
This email doesn't exist.
oh, fun.
Then
So-
tell Dane to check his email.
That's fine. You can get on my TikTok. There will be a Linktree link in the descriptions. So all you'll have to do is click on there. It'll pop it open, and all you'll have to do is get on
so
there and watch
you
the
have
shorts.
even less reason to not follow us on everything.
Yo, we've been doing this for years, and I just discovered a Linktree. Like, I don't know why I wasn't thinking about Linktrees, but I did a Linktree. So now I have a Linktree. You can access all the different platforms that we go on, as well as getting onto different platforms to find places to stream the audio
And if you
the
know,
way you want to.
Yeah, and if you know where to go, you might even find our OnlyFans that
That's-
we don't have.
Well, yet.
Link.
But get on there. Check it out. The shorts that I've been doing are on my page,
I'm
but my
willing to
page
do a
is linked.
6-hour live stream of my butthole for OnlyFans with enough cash. So if you can get us roughly 6,000 American dollars,
That'd be great.
I'll make it happen.
That'd be real great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get on there, click some links.
Sponsored by Liquid Death.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
God.
but anyway, long story short, that TikTok is my TikTok.
The worst YouTube sponsorship video. Just
Damn
liquid death surrounding Tiny's asshole for 6 hours.
I can only
just
imagine.
direct lighting,
would
direct
probably-
camera,
it probably
shotgunned
would-
right down the
I
eye.
hate this.
It'd be one of those like I'm leaned over and I'm just like, so for this hour I'm drinking the severed lime. It's real good. It's a little more winey than I typically like for lime, spicy water. But let's have a taste.
Oh my
And the
god!
whole time my asshole's just beaming.
I hate everything about this.
Would you turn down the 6,000 American dollars for the
Look,
podcast?
if Liquid
though?
Death sent us cases of Liquid Death with 6,000 American currencies, you best believe you'd be on board for that.
Did you apply to get the Liquid Death livery
I have.
on the HHR?
I've applied and sent many messages to Liquid Death throughout all my time.
I want to see it
I
on the
want a
HHR.
Liquid Death sponsorship.
Yeah, they're only sponsoring race car drivers right now, though.
I don't care if their sponsorship is just a case of the beverage a week. I'd be freaking excited about that.
I shared that they were offering for one fan
Yeah,
to
for one
get that
rando.
on their car. You have to
Damn.
apply for it.
But you got to be a race car fan. You have to prove that you're a fan.
No,
of,
no.
no, it's just a fan of Liquid Death.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
is
a
that
Liquid
it?
Death fan. You
Yeah.
just- you chug can, you slam can, and you send them the video of that.
Oh, did you chug can?
Yes.
Slam can? Send it to?
Imagine
I did.
Liquid Death race
I
car
took time
livery
out of
on
work
the
for it.
HHR.
Yeah, rolling up.
That'd
you
be
know,
the most freedom American car
absolutely.
I've ever seen.
You'd hear the Eagles screaming. I'll roll up and sling you groceries on your porch, and then I just peel out, just
You would be
sipping on some
famous
spicy
on Hip
water.
Cookville.
Oh yeah.
So
Dude, I'm pretty sure I'm posted somewhere farting on somebody's ring doorbell camera.
So, question, Tiny. Say a representative from Liquid Death walked through the door and handed you 3 cans of Cosmic Grapevine. What would you do?
Drink them back to back to back,
That's a spicy burp.
and I mean the burp wouldn't happen until for like an hour though.
Yours don't operate the same
They
as mine.
don't.
Mine are immediate after fizzy. Yours are like you've been sitting there for 30 minutes. Next thing you know, it erupts like a mistimed mortar shell.
Yeah, I think it's because I've drunk so much spicy water that I'm immune to a lot of the fizzy effects.
Everybody, I hope you tune in next week. I'm going to do my best to try to receive some delicate, sensitive files to share with you that I have not shared with anybody.
Would be. Never mind.
It's not those kind of files. It's audio nature. Audio nature. I don't have.
I thought it'd be like you and some like lacy panties or something.
No, I do have one that's an elephant trunk picture.
I know. I've
You've
seen it. It became a Christmas ornament.
It did become a Christmas one. Ah, Miss Dirty Santa. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in again next week. We're on everything, hopefully inside of your ear holes. Cue to mute it.